Getting into the thick of things here on this episode of the Tailgate Discussions podcast, we're going to start off with Heisman candidates, and you put an article out on phantomsportsindustries.com earlier this week saying that Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty should be the frontrunners, and I absolutely agree. Jeanty has just been absolutely amazing to start the season, and if he continues the way that he's going, there's no doubt in my mind that he should definitely be in New York for or as a top 3 candidate.
Yeah, Jeanty was a guy that we kind of had, like, some people had kind of as a dark horse after last season. 'Cause he's not like a nobody. Like, he had an incredible season last year. Had nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards last season. But he's on track to just shatter those numbers this year. And through 4 games, I don't think I've seen a running back have a 4-game start to the season like this. Like, it's unprecedented. And the reason why I wrote this article is I was scrolling Twitter like the day after the games and saw the betting odds come up, and it showed Jalen Milroe and Cam Ward were the 2 highest favorites to win the award. When I feel like everybody who's watched the games would be telling you right now that it's Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty that deserve to be at the top of that list. And both teams right now are 3-1. And I think like the only reason why you have these betting places have these other players at the top is really just because of their team, the team that they're on. But the good news is that Colorado's chances of reaching the Big 12 title, they look much better than they did in the preseason. They look like a competitive team, and they look like they can beat most of the teams in that conference. And then Boise State, they still have a chance to be a G5 team that makes the playoffs. So if that's the only thing that's going to be holding them back from winning the award, right now they're in great shape.
Yeah, you mentioned it best. The teams are, what is holding them back right now. Ashton Jeanty, he plays for Boise State, who doesn't get a lot of big coverage, from CBS, Fox Sports, ESPN. Their games typically aren't streamed anywhere on Peacock or anything like that, so it's very hard for all of America to watch, this team and watch Ashton Jeanty. The only thing that they can get is highlights, or if, they're in a big game against, say, Oregon or whoever it may be. But moving forward, some of these top TV networks may pick up Boise State just because of Ashton Jeanty, and just because, they are actually doing well, and they are, like we said at the beginning of the season, our favorite to take the G5 spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and before we move on, Hunter deserves to be mentioned. I think like Hunter and Jeanty are 1A, 1B, and you could put them at either place. But I'll read off his stats as a receiver. He has 46 receptions, 561 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. That's some of the best numbers you'll find in the country at that position. And then as a DB, 16 tackles, 3 passes defended, 2 interceptions. So you're looking at a player who's objectively top 5 as a corner and as a receiver right now. And I liken that to a guy like Shohei Ohtani. Like, this is like a really transcendent talent, once in a lifetime type of talent. It's a guy that plays offense and defense, or whatever you want to call pitching. I don't know what that is, but plays both sides of the ball at a very, very high level. And that's just something that, comes around once in a lifetime, it seems like. So right now for me, I would put Hunter slightly above Jeanty, but I think it's like neck and neck right now. They're pretty much equals.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm just reading your article here. You put in there he's a transcendent talent like Shohei Ohtani who can impact the game in multiple areas. That's absolutely an amazing way to describe Travis Hunter. Now, I don't think that he's going to be able to play on both sides of the ball at the next level, But the
Agreed.
way that he's playing right now, he definitely deserves the credit. He definitely deserves to be a Heisman candidate. Uh,
Do you think
Hopefully
he's
he
gonna
stays
be?
healthy this year.
You think he plays receiver at the next level or DB?
I would have to say that he plays receiver,
Really?
just because of the way that he goes about that. He's he looks better as a receiver than he does as a defensive back. I mean, he's only got 16 tackles on defense. Maybe that's because they're also trying to preserve him a little bit and not force not having him go to the middle when the ball gets run. But I yeah, I would have
Well,
to
he did
say that
have
he probably ends up
big
being a
forced
receiver.
fumble. Forgot who it was against. He had a big forced fumble on the goal line to secure a win. I think that was
Hmm.
against Baylor. But I see your point about him playing receiver. He's much more fluid on that side of the ball. He runs routes extremely well, and his ball skills are not a cornerback's ball skills. Like he has receiver like hands. I mean, he catches
Hmm.
literally everything you throw at him. So it would be really hard to see those like abilities and be like, yeah, I'm gonna put this guy on defense for the rest of his career. Um, we've seen players make it to the next level and play on both sides of the ball, like Deion Sanders, but um, that's a really really tough question. I was leaning him playing DB just because I think that's a more valuable position in football, but you know, I can see him playing receiver as well, and I see your point that he probably is a bit better of a receiver than he is a DB. I think wherever he goes, though, he's going to be a star at both, a superstar.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing that we're seeing this much talent in the college uh, ranks right now. Dylan Gabriel isn't somebody to sleep on either. I might be a little biased on that, but I think as Oregon gets deeper into the season
Yeah,
and he gets more fluid with that offensive scheme, he's going to be looking better. I think over the past 2 games he has been amazing. I mean, we could talk about that
completed over
Oregon.
80% of his passes, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, and we could talk about that Oregon Cal game. He would have had another touchdown there on that pick six, but his receiver fell. Right. So I mean, which happens every once in a while. And that pick six was just unfortunate, but it is what it is. But Gabriel is not somebody to sleep on either. Cam Ward obviously up there. Jalen Milrow up there. Uh, Nico Dart, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck. All of these guys are up there in the top 10 for Heisman odds. And it's still early in the season. This is still pretty much anybody's game.
Agreed. Yeah.
Um, but right now, I do think you're right. The Heisman race, Hunter and Jeanty should be the front runners. What they're doing is absolutely amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anybody with 845 rushing yards through 5 games in any season.
Yeah, and what's even crazier is Jeanty had to. I forget which game it was, but he sat like in the second half of one of the games after he had 150 yards and no
Mhm.
touchdowns. Like he could have probably had at least 250 yards that game, but they really rested him because they were blowing out the other team. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's crazy to think that this guy could actually be doing even better than what we're seeing right now. But yeah, I hope he keeps this up. I hope Hunter keeps this up because I'm ready for a non QB to take home this award for the first time since Derrick Henry.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here as we get closer to the end of the season. We're just in week 5 though, so like I said, a long way to go.